Glad you're joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
So, if you've ever stopped to consider what your daily habits are secretly broadcasting to the world, before you even open your mouth, you are in the exact right place.
It's a topic that I think applies to literally everyone.
Exactly. Today, we are digging into a really fascinating collection of material from fitness creator Sandra O'Keefe. The mission of today's deep dive is to unpack the secret, highly communicative language of fitness, aging, and attraction.
Right.
We're going way beyond the superficial here. We want to discover how physical discipline acts as this profound character test,
Yeah.
how it shifts dating dynamics, and how it creates an undeniable presence at any age.
It really is a vital perspective shift. I mean, society tends to view the gym strictly as a place for vanity, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We imagine it as this room full of mirrors where people just go to look good for a beach vacation. But the reality presented in these circus paints a much deeper picture. It reveals that how you treat your body and how you behave while training it actually signals deep psychological traits. So today we're going to explore the underlying biology of why posture changes how people perceive your age, the intense psychology behind the whole dad bod cover-up.
That part is wild.
It really is, and we'll get into why gym behavior is essentially a nonverbal resume.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with this blueprint for the youthful older man. Have you ever looked at a guy in his 50s or 60s and thought, wait, how does he still look like he's in his mid-30s?
I think we all have.
Right. And the material breaks down that this isn't magic. It's not simply a lucky roll of the genetic dice either. It's about deliberately building structure and strength. And it is explicitly not about desperately chasing youth or trying to look like a teenager.
Yeah, the biological reality behind that is genuinely fascinating. Because as we age, our skin naturally loses its elasticity.
The collagen drops.
Exactly. Collagen production drops, you start getting wrinkles on your face, your hands, and the body generally tends to take on a softer, maybe more deflated appearance. But muscle acts as this crucial muscle buffer.
A muscle buffer. I like that term.
It serves as an internal physical support system for the skin. When you maintain dense muscle mass, it literally fills out those areas from the inside.
So it's pushing against the skin.
Right, it keeps the skin taut.
Yeah.
And provides a structural firmness that would otherwise just kind of collapse into a softer appearance as the years pass.
So if maintaining this muscle buffer is so critical as we age, does that mean guys in their 50s are doomed to be in the gym, 6 days a week, trying to lift heavier and heavier weights and blowing out their joints just to keep up?
You would think so, but the findings actually reveal the exact opposite. It's about consistency over intensity.
Okay, consistency.
The guys who maintain that highly energetic, youthful structure aren't the ones in the gym screaming and trying to bench press a small car anymore.
Right, they've evolved past that.
They've completely shifted their methodology. 2 to 3 highly focused sessions a week is often enough. They prioritize recovery, mobility, and above all, avoiding injury.
There is a great personal anecdote from Sandra O'Keefe that illustrates this perfectly. She's a fitness creator in her 30s, and she admits that she started experiencing random daily knee pain.
Which is a huge wake-up call for anyone who lifts.
Right. And she realized she hasn't done a massive 200-kilogram hip thrust in 3 years. Her heavy squats are pretty much non-existent now, but her physique remains incredible because she adopted the exact mindset of those older men. She prioritizes form, tempo, and time under tension.
The concept of time under tension is a complete game changer, especially for anyone listening who feels just beat up by traditional weightlifting.
Yeah, all the joint pain.
Exactly. Instead of just bouncing a heavy weight up and down using momentum, which places massive shear stress on your joints and tendons, you lower a much lighter weight incredibly slowly.
Like taking 4 or 5 seconds just to go down?
Yes, 4 or 5 full seconds just to lower into a squat. It forces the muscle fibers to work intensely throughout the entire range of motion. That creates the microscopic tears necessary for muscle growth, but without the joint-destroying loads.
It's how you build that critical muscle buffer safely.
Precisely.
And the specific execution of that muscle buffer matters too, according to the sources. We aren't talking about stepping onto a bodybuilding stage here. The focus is simply maintaining lean muscle in the chest, the back, the shoulders, the arms, and legs.
Very specific aesthetic.
Yeah, by utilizing compound movements, things like deadlifts, overhead presses, rows, squats, you build a powerful V shape. A well-developed upper back, broad shoulders, and a trim waist create an athletic silhouette that acts as one of the most universally recognized visual cues of youth and vitality.
But building that specific structure requires the right raw material,
Right.
diet. If you look at high-profile examples of men in their 40s and 50s who maintain this look, figures like The Rock or Cristiano Ronaldo, their diets are entirely engineered for structural recovery, not just weight loss.
Right. They aren't just starving themselves.
Not at all. It doesn't matter if someone is a natural athlete or utilizing enhancements. You simply cannot cheat a bad diet. Restricting calories to stay thin as your metabolism slows will only accelerate that depleted, aged look if you aren't feeding the muscle tissue.
It requires high-quality protein to maintain the mass and whole foods to actively fight systemic inflammation. You have to fuel the frame. And yeah, that means sacrifices.
That's right.
The material points out the necessity of cutting out the daily beers, the sugary sodas, the sweet juices. It takes discipline. But what is so compelling is how that physical discipline translates directly into posture.
Posture's huge.
An upright posture, built through that strong upper back and core we just talked about, communicates immense physical presence. A collapsed chest, rounded shoulders, a forward head that just screams tired and old, adding decades to your appearance regardless of your actual age.
How you carry yourself structurally dictates how people perceive your energy, period. And that physical presence you build entirely sets the stage for how you interact with the world around you.
Here's where it gets really interesting. That physical presence completely changes your behavior in shared spaces. The material dives deep into gym etiquette, framing it as a window to the soul.
I love this part.
Right. For instance, there's a distinct allure to the aloof gym goer. Women, in particular, highly notice men who are actively not trying to be noticed.
Yeah.
The guy who walks in, puts his headphones on, executes his workout, and doesn't scan the room making lingering eye contact. That demonstrates a psychological trait called self-containment.
Self-containment is incredibly attractive because it signals an internal locus of control. He isn't relying on external validation or the attention of others to feel secure.
He's just dialed in.
Dialed in. And part of that self-containment extends to how he manages his physical presentation. There is a fascinating psychological layer to gym hygiene that goes far beyond just smelling good. It's a massive social signifier.
It's so easy to think, oh, I'm going to a room specifically designed for sweating. Who cares what I look like? I'm going to stink anyway.
A lot of guys think that way.
They do. But showing up looking completely unkempt in dirty clothes is broadcasting a severe lack of spatial awareness.
It communicates that you don't view your environment, or the people in it, as worthy of your effort. Showing up in clean clothes with a combed beard, wearing deodorant, or a very subtle musk isn't an act of vanity. It's an active demonstration of respect.
It's saying something about your standards.
Right. It tells everyone around you, I respect this shared space, and I respect myself enough to maintain my baseline standards, even when I'm just here to do grueling work.
And respecting that shared space is paramount, especially considering the gym is historically a male-dominated environment. There's a vivid story in the material where Sandra was at the gym and watched a beginner woman setting up a squat rack with 10-kilogram plates.
Oh, this story is infuriating.
It really is. Out of nowhere, a guy just walks up, grabs her plates, and walks off. The woman was completely intimidated and just froze. Sandra actually had to intervene. She marched over to the guy and forced him to return the equipment, pointing out that he clearly saw the woman setting up.
That interaction perfectly encapsulates the difference between spatial awareness and a desperate need to assert dominance.
Exactly.
Some individuals use the gym to perform a highly toxic version of masculinity. Hovering over machines, invading personal space, stealing equipment from people they perceive as weaker.
It's pathetic, honestly.
It is. Good etiquette, re-racking your weights, giving people space, being mindful of your footprint shows high-level awareness.
Which brings us to the specific green flags outlined in the material. The clearest green flag is a complete lack of ego lifting. When you see someone executing chaotic, wildly heavy lifts with terrible form, twisting their spine just to move a heavier dumbbell.
It doesn't look impressive. It looks reckless.
Reckless, yes. A guy lifting with slow, controlled reps and proper range of motion is entirely focused on progress and precision rather than performing for the room.
What's fascinating here is the next green flag, which challenges a lot of traditional gym stereotypes, and that is training glutes.
Oh, man. A
Wow.
lot of guys will flat out refuse to do a hip thrust because they categorize it as a woman's exercise.
Yeah.
They have this irrational fear that building their glutes will suddenly give them a feminine physique.
Which is biomechanically absurd. The glutes are the largest, most powerful muscle group in the human body. They're the engine for running, jumping, stabilizing the spine.
There's
A man who actively trains his glutes demonstrates that he actually understands human anatomy. He is prioritizing functional proportions. He cares about movement, longevity, and overall athletic capability, not just pumping up the vanity muscles like the chest and biceps for the mirror.
And crucially, it shows he's completely secure in his own masculinity. He doesn't care if a specific exercise doesn't look traditionally macho.
Exactly. That deep internal security shows up in how these men interact with women in the gym, too.
Yes, the material contrasts two very different male reactions to strong women. Sandra talks about a guy who interrupted her intense workout just to ask, "Aren't you afraid you're going to get too big?"
Unbelievable.
It's an incredibly condescending attempt to police a woman's body. She said she was practically ready to backhand him.
I don't blame her.
Right. But contrast that with the guy who sees a woman lock out a brutally heavy deadlift and simply claps for her.
The difference there is operating from a place of comparison versus a place of confidence. The man who interrupts to criticize is deeply threatened. A strong woman challenges his preconceived notions of where he stands in the hierarchy, so he tries to diminish her.
But the confident guy doesn't need to do that.
Right. The confident man can celebrate strength in others because it doesn't detract from his own.
It all comes down to discipline and patience. In fact, Sandra admits her ultimate unspoken date test is simply watching a guy's squat form.
That's a great test.
It is. If a guy has the patience to develop clean technique, the discipline to work on his ankle mobility, and the strength to hit a deep, controlled squat, it's a massive green flag about his overall character.
This raises an important question, though. If visible physical discipline, profound spatial awareness, and pristine gym etiquette are such highly attractive indicators of character, why does the internet constantly insist that women prefer the dad bod?
The famous dad bod.
Right. Publicly, you hear this narrative all the time that women want a softer guy, a guy who isn't obsessed with the gym.
The dad bod cover-up. The psychological depth here is incredible. When you dig beneath the surface of that cultural trend, it often stems directly from the mere effect of insecurity.
Yes.
A visibly fit man who clearly takes his health seriously, signals attraction, yes, but he also forces standards. He raises the emotional stakes of the dynamic.
Exactly. Imagine someone who feels entirely average or perhaps insecure about their own daily habits. Standing next to a partner who operates with high-level discipline creates a quiet, persistent internal comparison.
Intimidating.
It is. His lifestyle, waking up early, prioritizing training, eating with intention, acts as a spotlight that inadvertently exposes a lack of discipline in others. Some partners thrive on that energy and rise to the occasion, usually because they share those values.
But many don't.
Many people feel judged by that discipline, even if the fit man never utters a single critical word.
A dad bod simply feels non-threatening. It removes the pressure. It allows the partner to stay exactly where they are without feeling the implicit demand to improve. But the material makes a crucial distinction here. You can intellectually claim that a soft physique is preferable, but you cannot negotiate with biological wiring.
Evolutionary psychology plays a massive role here. Broad shoulders, an upright posture, and visible physical capability are ancient, deeply ingrained cues.
Hardwired into us.
Completely hardwired. For hundreds of thousands of years, those traits signaled protection, long-term health, and the capability to secure resources.
Even though we don't necessarily need that now.
Right. We live in a modern, air-conditioned society where you don't need a V-tapered back to survive, but those biological cues still profoundly influence subconscious attraction.
However, the material provides a very sharp warning. That biological advantage has an expiration date if the character doesn't match the physique. If a guy has perfectly sculpted muscles but operates with arrogance, is highly insecure, or is emotionally unavailable, the physical attraction fades almost instantly.
The muscle is just a billboard. The character is the actual product.
Oh, I love that. The muscle is just a billboard. Because ultimately, genuine attraction is rooted in the effort, the resilience, and the stability behind the physical form.
Which transitions perfectly into the final and perhaps most complex dynamic explored in the sources: the attraction to older, mature men.
Yes, let's get into this.
Now, we need to clarify right out of the gate that we are talking about a reasonable, relatable age gap between consenting adults here. We're not talking about a predatory dynamic where a 50-year-old is chasing a 20-year-old.
Yes, that is a very important distinction to make. But looking at why women in their late 20s or 30s might be drawn to a man in his 40s or 50s, society lazily writes it off as a financial transaction.
They assume it's just about the money.
Always. But the psychological breakdown here dismantles that entirely. It's actually a profound shift from dating potential to dating direction.
The material frames this as imagination versus observation,
Yeah,
and it is one of those compelling concepts we've encountered.
it really is.
When a woman dates a younger man, she is often taking on a massive mental tax. She's buying into his potential. He might be talking about launching a business or figuring out his career path, or promising to eventually work through his emotional baggage.
She has to use her imagination.
Exactly. She has to mentally fast forward 5 years and hope that his vision board actually manifests into reality.
And there is so much anxiety in that. You are constantly wondering if his hard work will actually pay off or if he'll just abandon his goals when it gets difficult. But dating a mature, older man means shifting to observation.
Right.
You don't have to guess if he's disciplined or ambitious or capable of weathering a storm because his current reality already reflects it. You are observing a finished foundation.
He has lived long enough to fail, and that is a critical piece of the puzzle. He has likely failed publicly and privately. He might have lost a significant amount of money, watched his plans entirely collapse, experienced severe heartbreak, and he survived it all.
That survival changes a person.
It creates a profound, quiet sense of certainty. He isn't trying on different personalities to figure out who he is. He knows his values, he knows his boundaries, and he is direct about them.
That decisiveness makes a partner feel incredibly safe because she is no longer stuck burning energy trying to decode mixed signals. And because he has survived the chaos of his younger years, he fiercely values peace over ego.
That is the ultimate marker of maturity. Attractive older men do not argue to win. They communicate to resolve.
That's a huge difference.
They have outgrown the need to escalate every minor disagreement into a battle for dominance. They protect their hard-earned reputation by relentlessly protecting their composure. They don't need to scream their confidence at the room.
And frankly, the material points out that women are exhausted by the prospect of mothering potential. They do not want to raise a partner.
Nobody wants that.
Right. They don't want to assign them books on how to communicate or beg them to go to therapy. A man who has already done that grueling inner work is a massive relief.
He is comfortable with his own shadow. He's not desperately chasing the latest trends or trying to be the loudest, coolest guy in his social circle. He's entirely secure in his quirks, in his identity.
So what does this all mean? When you pull back and look at this entire stack of material, the overarching theme is undeniable. Whether you are 25, 45, or 65, your physical fitness, your upright posture, and your meticulous gym etiquette are loud, unignorable, nonverbal indicators of your internal stability.
They are the physical, real-world manifestations of your self-respect, your spatial awareness, and your daily discipline.
Exactly.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, for you listening, this isn't just about scoring a date or figuring out how to fill out the sleeves of a t-shirt. It is about making the active, conscious choice not to decline with the crowd.
To not just give up.
Right. So many people hit a certain age and just quietly accept neglect. They stop training, they stop grooming, they stop caring about how they impact shared spaces. When you maintain your health, when you prioritize your mobility, and when you show up with intention, you are sending a clear, constant signal to yourself and the world. You can commit, you can be remarkably consistent, and you absolutely will not quit on yourself.
It is a nonverbal resume of your character, written in real time every single day. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating and maybe slightly intimidating thought to mull over.
Yeah.
We've just spent all this time exploring how our physical discipline and our behavior in a shared space like a gym speak absolute volumes about our internal psychology before we even introduce ourselves. It makes you wonder, if our physical routines are broadcasting all of this deep psychological truth, what are our other unconscious daily habits loudly broadcasting to the world about our internal state?
It's an incredible question to reflect on. Every single choice we make is a signal.
It really is. Thank you so much for exploring this with us today. Keep digging deep, keep questioning what those daily habits are saying about you, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.